My name is Maimunah Mohd Sharif. I'm the Executive Director of ONU-Hábitat. I think this is a COVID-19, to me, is a wake-up call. Wake-up call for not only to the national government, not only to the local government, it's also to the community and to the population at large. And the way I look at COVID-19 is to show the weakness of the existing system, in terms of health infrastructure, in terms of housing infrastructure, in terms of the basic services like water, electricity, sanitation, mobility, and also opportunities. Because due to COVID-19, we realized that the weaknesses of the existing system. So I would say that COVID-19 has shown the weaknesses, but at the same time give us an opportunities to recover better, to work better. Because as you look at the statistic, cities is the epicenter of COVID-19. 96% of the COVID-19 is happened in cities. And you look into cities is also the engine of growth. 70% of the population by 2050 will be living in cities. And at the same time, cities is also provide the GDP. 70% of the global GDP is from the cities. Cities is also consume 70% of the energy and emit 70% of the carbon emission. So I think cities play a very, very important role, not only during COVID-19, but it's also after COVID-19 when we would like to recall that green recovery, green resilient cities, and up to now, 75% of the future infrastructure that is needed by cities by 2050 is not built yet. This infrastructure, it can be housing, it can be water, it can be sanitation, it can be industrial area, it can be tourism, and also it can be mobility or infrastructure road. So we still have 75% is not built yet. So now is the time for us to rethink what is the green recovery is all about, to look into the tools and the guidelines. What do we mean by green infrastructure? What do you mean by green living? So to me, COVID-19 shows the weaknesses and also for opportunities for us to do better. I think the lesson learned is that one is from the governance. That's why the Secretary General mentioned about the new social contract between the global, between the national and also the local government. Meaning that is the social contract in the provision of the public goods. All this while, before COVID-19, many countries thought that health facilities is the duty of the national government, meaning that it's infrastructure. But now after COVID-19, I think it should be part of the budget. It should be investment by the national government to provide health infrastructure at the local level. So that's what in terms of governance. Second is also in terms of this delivery of goods. When you talk about delivery of goods, it's linked to the planning. What is many of the areas you realize that unplanned and unmanaged urbanization cause urban sprawl, cause slum. There are 800 million people globally still living in slum. Half of the world population still have no drinkable water supply, and half of the world population is still offline. When you talk about digitalization, you talk about internet, you talk about lockdown, working from home or education. So still half of the world population is still offline. So I think when the COVID-19 for the past 2 years, I think we have to think about the new way of the social contract in a way that is to link between the global, national, and the local government, and also with the private sector in terms of financial, and also with the communities and the people, because we believe that cities is for the people and people is for the cities. I think COVID-19 really touched down the most important thing, that now we are dealing with people. People got the virus. We are dealing with people. But all this while, I think to a certain extent, when we plan the cities, it's not, people maybe not at the center of the decision making. As I said, 800 million people still living in slum. Yeah, and I've been invited here to speak at the Minervi. I would like to share with you our work on housing, our work on slum transformation is in line with the Ministry of Housing in Colombia when he presented during the Minervi conference assembly, saying that is they have 5 challenges in Latin America, in Minervi countries. One is slum. Second is on the carbon emission. Third is on the water supply. Fourth is on the migrant. And then fifth is how we can carbon in terms of the finance. So I think for us, housing is one of the priorities in UN-Hábitat, because we are dealing with human settlement, and our mandate is most on not only giving roof on top of the head, but it's also providing housing with a great livelihood. Livelihood here meaning that there is work, a job, and it's also water supply, sanitation, clean environment. At the same time, also giving the opportunity for the people to move forward. Slum transformation is not only providing the home, but also providing the environment of the social cohesiveness. So that is very important to integrate the culture and also the people. So I can see people when I went there, they are smiling and then looking very happy, and I said they want more of this. So that's why we met the development partners yesterday also to talk to development partners. Please, there are certain areas that UN-Hábitat can do, then the government can do, or the local government can do, but there are also part of the private sector should get involved. That's why I mentioned in my speech the principle of 4P: public, private, people partnership. Now, so that is that then we'll have more areas. And in terms of this in Colombia, let me give you some statistic. It said that it is estimated that 82% of the population live in cities, while 1 of each 5 of them live in informal settlement in Latin America, and around 55% of them live in the very overcrowding condition. Immediately in March 2020, we launched our COVID-19 response plan. Immediate, 1.3 million, mostly for the provision of basic services. Water is very, very important, just provision of water, because water not only to drink, it's also to wash the hand. And then in April 2020, we launched the long-term and short-term, medium-term and long-term COVID-19 response plan, which are around 64 projects and worth 72 million. And most of this project is in the most vulnerable settlement, that is the slum. So that is immediate effect, response from our side, because we realize that climate change, COVID-19, the most vulnerable people are the people living in the slum, and they are the least cause of all this, of what we call about climate change. They don't emit carbon emission that much, but they are the most affected, not only in Colombia, in globally. So I think this is very important for us to really look into hopefully we would like to do cities without slum, but maybe there's very tall order, but let's move towards that. This year, we did a studies for 1,700 cities, the effect of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. We call in the book, in our publication, we call it Cities and Pandemics. And in that study, we analyzed 1,700 cities. And every cities, I would say, that will try their best to manage, the mayors trying to manage. Why I realized this, because I was a mayor before I joined UN-Hábitat. I was a mayor for 7 years in Penang, Malaysia. Yeah. So when we discussed during that pandemic, we have a lot of webinars, a lot of online discussion, what to do and all that. And then from our study, we realized that those cities which has the leadership and also have the system in terms of the procedure and system, they can respond to the pandemic much better than the cities with the leaders is not so really active. At the same time, there is no system in the cities. For example, like I take from the continent, let's say in Africa. Immediately, for example, the cities like very near to us, Nairobi, yeah? And immediately we set up the task force together with the cities to handle this pandemic, and of course, as I said, the very basic services that they need is water, electricity, and sanitation. That is linked to the health of the people. That is one. Second is another area is in Africa is South Africa. South Africa is also very fast in taking action. And another one, this is a good friend of mine, is in Sierra Leone, in the cities of Freetown. So that is she is also, I think, quite active in asking what's next, how to do this, how to do that. In Asia, we also have a lot of cities like Surabaya, the cities even in Malaysia, my own countries, trying their best. But the problem to me is almost the same problem. The only difference is the magnitude. In Colombia, I have a few. I have to look into my note because it's in this area. I think it's there is a few cities like even in Bogota, you know, the mayors take very quick action in terms of this dealing with the pandemic. In other parts, like cities like Paris, the mayor Anne Hidalgo, and then in Milan, in Brussels, in Montreal, I think most of them, to me, I said it's like wake up call. They are trying to because as I said, I have the network with them, and they're trying to come to us that please help us. What shall we do? What's next? What steps shall we take for this? So I think this is the one area that I like to stress here, the importance of having the data. I think one of the wake-up call also I would like to say to you that is the women empowerment and the role of women in cities. And as you said, woman is the one who take care of the health If people are sick, women for the children, for the husband, the family, women. And this is not been evaluated. No value to that before. Meaning that it's it's your job. But I think it shouldn't be that. And then another one is for women. I went around during the COVID-19 when I started travel in May. I realized that women is the one who carry water from the standpipe to the home, not men. I went to Burkina Faso in Africa, and there is a woman, at least 30 or 40 women crowded at one standpipe waiting for 2 hours to collect water and put it on their head and walk another 2 kilometers to their home. And can you imagine the opportunity cost? If the woman that stand for 2 hours and then walk for 2 hours, actually to get 1 barrel of water, actually it costs more than the people in the area which have the water supply. You pay maybe how much is per liter. For them to pay for 2 hours waiting time, walk for 2 hours, and then get only 1 barrel of water. And then women, and then it's also girls and children. And then during this COVID-19, there are a lot of the gender violence, women's, and a lot of the children cannot go to school. And then because of COVID and the lockdown, and then the house is very overcrowded. I mean, it's small house, overcrowded, and there is a lot of. I think I cannot remember the statistic, but according to my colleague and UNFPA, there's a lot of unwanted pregnancies. It's a woman. So I think now we should connect the dot that women is also the source of economic growth. We have to to calculate the value of the time a woman spend in the healthcare. There is no more free healthcare, and then I think that many of the countries now is looking into the incentive, to give the incentive to that you call it the informal sector, which we take for granted before, because you are a woman, you are a wife, you have to cook, you have to wash, you have to do everything. So I think this is the time that we need to look at women empowerment and women engagement. I think that's just one thing. Second is also in terms of employment. I think in terms of compared to men and women during the COVID-19, women lost more job than men. But I can't remember the percentage, but it's generally women lost their job more than men, because the reason of we have to take care of the family. That taking care of the family is not calculated in dollar and cents. That is the second. And the third is also in terms of education. And for us, we would like to see that after being in the recovery, whatever recovery period at the national level or central level or at the local level, that women must be put at the center. I was asked also by one of the colleagues yesterday. I said, I mentioned that cities planned by women is a cities for all. So they say, oh, I'm also an urban planner, but as a man, say yes. But if women can plan the cities for women, it's also good for men. So I think this is very, very important to include women means or gender mainstreaming or women empowerment in whatever decision that we make. I would like to share with you my own experience, and I also bring it up to the UN-Hábitat. I started the gender responsive participatory planning, GRPP, gender responsive participatory planning, when I was a mayor, and gender responsive participatory budgeting, and I brought it along to UN-Hábitat during the project committee, and the element of gender mainstreaming and women should be one of it. And I brought it also into the strategic plan of UN-Hábitat, where women, gender, youth, girls, and disability, it should be to be cross-cutting issues in whatever that we do in UN-Hábitat. Either is when you do the guideline or when you do the project on the ground. So the most important thing that I would like to to share my experience and also my knowledge on the planning of a city, we have to talk to the people. We have to do, in UN-Hábitat, we call it people process. Whatever that we do yesterday in the center, in the village, and also in the Integrated Habitat Center, we talk to the people. We talk to the people here is in every level. Women, men, children, old people, people with disability, because they know better what they need. They know better what they want. Of course, we cannot take 100%. But that's the reason the bottom-up approach is very, very important for me in order for us to have an inclusive city. We call it leaving no one behind.